Hey everyone. This video is going to be a little bit different than most of my other videos. I just wanted to talk about and pay homage to what in my opinion is the greatest cutaway gag in any movie film ever. So this is Slapshot. If you haven't watched Slapshot, first off, go watch it. This is one of the most insane movies of all time, and personally my favorite hockey movie and one of my favorites in general. And what you have here is these two hockey teams are going up against each other now. The main guys you want to look at are the Chiefs. And the way this starts is, okay, for context, this team, the Chiefs, are riding really high. They've had a win streak so far. And right now, they are notorious for just being extremely violent. This is the 70s, mind you. This was recorded in the 70s, so it's a really violent era of hockey. Fights are very common. They don't have nearly as much gear as modern players do. I don't even know if suspensions were a thing back then for violence of this sort. And we have our main protagonists, the guys we want to look at right now, are the Hanson brothers. So these guys have just gotten lifted from the bench, and the three brothers have been ripping everyone a new rear. And they are on the warpath. So these guys are right now starting a pregame brawl. And this is the pregame brawl that happens beforehand. You see here Hanson, number whatever, is just like, eyeing the boys. They're letting them know they're getting on the line. And it's important to understand that, like, the refs aren't even out yet. This is pre-game, so usually you don't ever have pre-game brawls because they've got their side and the other team's got their side. I don't know how you can mess this up other than if you start trying to go over there to start crap. And how well these guys are at instigating things. They are just so good. They slash, they hit people in the head, they high stick. They will do whatever it takes to get and piss you off. Since the scene's about to start, I need to mention what a cutaway gag is. Okay, very simply, a cutaway gag is where there's something is in the process of happening or is about to happen, and instead of letting the scene play out, they cut away to the aftermath. In most cutaway gags, they ironically do it because they realize that what they could play will never be as satisfying as what the audience imagines. Like, for example, if a knight goes to fight a dragon and they want to talk about the knight falls off a cliff. Like, they build it up so that the fight looks like it's going to be so intense and the knight just ends up getting burnt to a crisp. Well, they can't really, it's easier just to show the aftermath and let the reader, or the viewer in this case, decide whether or not, like, how funny it was in their head. They can imagine, like, how stupid the outcome is. Most cutaway gags deliberately not show the content, but the best cutaway gag jokes are the jokes that don't even really try or are, like, unintentionally just so much more funnier than they should be. And I think this is the perfect example of that because the build-up reaches the climax, so you get the best of it and then you still cut away. And not only that, the way they cut away, it is just so raw and unhinged that it perfectly summarizes this movie, and it's just so hilarious. So we're gonna play it out and watch how it happens. So, like I said, they're pushing each other's limits. You've got Hanson, and then boom, it's off. Gloves are off. We're going in.
To stop it because there are no officials on the ice. What is come over the Charlestown Chiefs?
And that's what I mean. You just have all this go to hell. The brawl went off without a hitch, and just the way it goes straight into the national anthem is just beautiful. Just this extreme poise. It's amazing. It's so raw and visceral. It's just... And now you go into this. I'm trying not to laugh, I'm sorry, this scene gets me every time.
Come on, I and the three of you guys, you pull one thing, you're out of this game. Now I run a clean game here. I have any trouble, I'll suspend you. I'm listening to a fucking song!
God bless America. Such a great scene. Such a great scene. The guys who made Slapshot, hands down, have made one of the greatest cutaway gags in my opinion ever. It perfectly summarizes this movie's just controlled chaos. This movie is the epitome of controlled chaos. Just this unhinged, constant fighting and brawling and cursing, all that just to lead into the national anthem. I think the reason this scene in particular is just so beautiful because it's so unhinged. The fight is so unhinged. It's just straight to the point. And then after all this, it's going off, and you don't expect it either. You just expect the fight to go out because that's what has happened at every time the movie has gone off. And then boom. Just straight to the national anthem, and the refs are just so on the nose. They don't want to deal with these guys. They don't want to deal with the Hansons. The Hensons are just so. Up until this point, every single fight has happened to a T. You have seen the beginning, start, and end of it. Unlike any cutaway gag joke ever, you get your cake and eat it too. And that's why I love this movie so much. It's such a great movie. Anyways, yeah, go watch Slapshot. Great movie.